Standard quality control SQC1. So what we're going to see is introduction, definition, then elements of quality control, leadership responsibility, ethical requirement, acceptance and client relationship, specific engagement, human resource, engagement performance, monitoring, documentation, and effective date. These are the things we're going to see. So SQC standard of quality control one introduction. The purpose of standard of quality control is to establish standard and to provide guidance regarding the firm's responsibility for the system quality control and audit and review the historic financial information, review of historic financial information, and for other assurance related service activities. SQC is to read the conjunction with the requirement of Chartered Accountants Act 1949, the Code of Ethics, and other relevant pronouncement of the institute. So SQC want to read the first you should understand the Chartered Accountant Act, and then after Code of Ethics, and if there any other relevant pronouncement given by the institute, you should read it to understand it. So additional standard and guidance on the responsibility of the firm personnel regarding the quality control procedure for specific types of engagement are set out in other pronouncement of audit assurance standard board issued under the authority of council. For example, standard of auditing 220, the quality control of audit of financial statement establishes standard and providing guidance for the quality control procedures for the audit of historical financial information. Always the standard of quality control is for historic financial information. The firm should establish a quality system of quality control designed to provide it with a reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel comply with the professional standards and regulate the legal requirement regulatory and legal requirement that reports issued by the firm and engagement partners are appropriate in the circumstances. So mainly we are the audit teams, we are doing audit. Our thing is to check whether all the regulations is being followed by the clients. Before that, we should have a checklist. A checklist is what to do, how to do, where to do, when to do, such a way, and why to do. That is the regulatory and legal requirement. We should understand that properly. We should have a checklist. We have an engagement control that will help us to observe, where that will help us to prevent, that will help us to find audit evidence. The system of quality control consists of politics designed to achieve the objectives set out in paragraph 3 and the procedures necessary to implement and monitor the compliance with the policy. So, on the paragraph 3, what are the procedures? We should have an objectives. Why to achieve this? What is the main objective? What is the main goal? Why to get this audit evidence? Why to do this audit in this way? Such a way you should have a brief things. SQC applies to all the firms. The nature of the policies and procedures developed by the individual firms to comply with SQC will depend on various factors such as size and operating characters of the firm and whether it is a part of network. So they will ask me, standard of quality control, sir. I am having a small firm. Do I apply to it? Have a large firm? Whether big four only, KPMG, PwC, are they required to follow this, or all the small firms, even a single auditor who has and for practice too, he also follows this. Everyone have to follow the standard of quality control. Definition in the SQC standard of quality control, the following terms has been mentioned attribute below. Engagement documents, a record of the work performed, results obtained, conclusion of the practitioner reached. These are the engagement documents, such as talking papers and working papers, are also sometimes used. The attention of the members is invite instance a guidance note on the independence of the auditors issued by the Committee of Ethical Standards. It is clarified that in India, the report is not issued or signed in a firm's name, rather than it's issued and signed behalf of the firm by the sole practitioner, a sole proprietor, or a partner of the firm, as the case may be in an individual name. Definition of firm has been used in the paragraph. So in India, we don't sign in the name of firm. We sign in representing for the firm name. Partner will sign it. This is the it goes on. A documentation of specific engagement assembled in the engagement file. Engagement partner. The partner other than the partner in the firm who is a member of Insurance Chartered Account of India in a full-time practice and it is responsible for the engagement of the and and performance about the report that is issued in behalf of him and who is required as appropriate authority for the professional legal regularity body. Who is engagement partner, chartered accountant can be. And is he is a full time or part time? No, he's a full time practitioner. So he will be responsible for all the act of and regulations, and he's responsible for his signature. Engagement quality control review. The process designed to provide an effective evaluation before the report is issued of any significant judgment. Engagement team must team made and conclusion they reach the formulating the report. Engagement quality control review. Reviewer, a partner, other partner in the firm, suitably qualified external person, a team made up of such individual with sufficient appropriate experience and authority to objectively evaluate before the report is issued. Significant judgment of the engagement team made and the conclusion they reached in forming the report. However, in the case of reviews done by team individuals, such a team should be headed by the member of institution. Who is this engagement quality control review? So when we have an partners, one or two, three, four, one of them will head this team and one will look into the activities of the and look into the evidence, evaluate the process done by the partner. One will be the doer, one will be checker. Checker is an engagement quality control reviewer. He has his mind to check it out whether the partner is working within the law, whether the partner is collecting the evidence, whether the evidence collected is appropriate, whether the evidence gives true and fair view. Everything will be checked by this engagement partner, and he will report and he will provide a conclusion on what he has done. Okay, this is good, this is not bad. So one will check the other's work. Engagement team, all the personnel for performing an engagement, including expert contracted by the firm, is connected with the engagement. Firm engagement team excludes individual within the client. The internal audit function who provides direct assistance on the excludes individual with a client's internal audit function who provides direct assistance on audit engagement when the external auditor complies with the requirement of 16. Uh, the rules is the auditor can hire an expert using the work of an auditor expert. That auditor expert will be included in the definition of engagement team, but the engagement team doesn't include the work of an internal auditor of the company. We can't include him. He is because he's outside. Even though we use his work, he won't be engagement team. A sole proprietor or a partnership or such entity of a professional account as may be permitted by an auditor's firm inspection in relation to the completed arrangement. The procedure designed to provide evidence of compliance of engagement teams of the firm's qualities and control procedure. A listed entity whose shares, whose stocks or debts are quoted or listed in a stock exchange or traded under the regulation of recognized stock exchange other equivalent body, SEBI or not SEBI, SEBI, say stock exchange board. If any stocks has been listed, debts then will be listed entity. The such other person have been member of Institute of only the Institute of Chartered Accountant. 6610 revised using the work of internal auditors establish the limits on the use of direct assistance. It is also acknowledged they can use the internal auditor always for every work. It acknowledges the external auditor may be prohibited by law or regulation from obtaining direct assistance from internal auditor. Therefore, the use of direct assistance in the restriction to situations where it's permitted. So it is restricted by law. So you use the direct assistance of the internal auditors by everything. They can use, but not in the thing. You should restrict the internal auditors. Monitoring the process comprising of ongoing consideration and evaluating the firm's system of quality control, including periodic inspection of selection of completed engagement, designing to enable the firm to obtain reasonable assurance that its system of quality control is operating effectively. Why this monitoring? Because we design a plan and that plans goes on every of the team members using the plan to get some evidence and complete the audit engagement. We should even check our own engagement, our own plan on the results, whether that results are giving um, results of giving which is fair and true, and it is not violating any of the laws and regulation. If that has been good, then good. In the process which is being followed is good. If we found any deficiencies, we need to change the engagement process. We need to update our model. We should learn from your mistakes. Network form, a firm or an entity that belongs to a network. Network, a large structure that is aimed at corporations. It is clearly aimed at profit or cost sharing or share common ownership or control or management, common quality control policies and procedures, common business strategy, and use the common brand name or significant part of professional resources. Yeah, that is enough for network. What is it for network? Usually, this KPMGs, this PWGs, whatever, they will link all the partners into the one name. There will be many firms inside the name of KPMG. Yes, they want to share the profit, the name they have, the working, they have a good audit procedure, they have a audit working paper collection, they are do it properly. They able to audit the large sample, they able to get an audit sample properly, they able to assess the risk properly. That's what make them a good network. Partner, any individual with an authority to bind the firm with respect of performance or professional service engagement. Personal partners and the staff. Professional engagement standard are defined in the AASP refers to standard of quality control, auditing, review, and other assurance or related services. A relevant ethical requirement and contained in the code. Reasonable assurance. A reasonable assurance extend to standard of quality control, a higher but not absolute level of assurance. Reasonable assurance is something assurance we get which is must be higher than the not absolute. Absolute is no assurance is bad, but some assurance we get, just some hope we see, or some light we see. Such a thing is reasonable assurance. Staff, a professional other than a partner, including an expert, which is a firm's employees. Suitable qualified external person, an individual outside the firm, which capability of completing the act of engagement partner, for example, partner or employee within appropriate experience of the firm. So qualified external person is someone who has an proper experience. We can't appoint someone with no experience. Rather, we need to supervise them or provide guidance to them, or we should hire someone who have sufficient knowledge to work out the case. Elements of systems of quality control. The firm system of quality control should include policies and procedures addressing each of the following elements. Leadership responsibility for quality within the firm, ethical requirement to be ethical, acceptance and continuance of client's relationship specific engagement. As an employee should be a member of Institute Chartered Account of India. So every member who need to be engaged in is member of Chartered Account of India. But a member can be, we can even let's include article assistants because they are students, but they are learning. They are eligible to be practicing human resources and engagement performance and monitoring. The quality control policies and procedures should be documented and communicated to the firm personnel. Such communication describe the quality control policies and procedures and the objective that are designed to achieve. And it include message that each individual has a person responsible for quality and expected to comply with the policy and procedures. In addition to the firm recognizes the importance of obtaining feedback on a quality control system for its personnel. Therefore, the firm encourages the personnel to communicate their views or concern the quality control matters. What they're giving is they're giving a set of rules. That is, they're asking to follow the rules and regulation, and they're also giving a right to criticize the rules and what is the result of these rules. And the views and the concerns are appreciated. Leadership responsibility for quality. What is that role is? That role is to conduct the audit in certain procedures, certain design. How to conduct the audit, how to start the audit, how to finish the audit, what is the first thing to do, how to do the vouching, how to do the verification, how to approach the client, how to make an comment over and something, how to find some mistakes, how to report it, who should report it, who to report it, whom to report it, how many time you should give to get the reply. If reply is given, what to do. If reply is not been provided, what to do. All these things have been kept in mind. How to collect audit evidence, how to store it. If you find some sensitive information, whom to you to report, whom not to report. These are the things that has been kept in mind. So leadership responsibility for quality within the firm. A firm should establish policies and procedures designed to promote an internal culture based on the recognition of the quality is essential in performing engagement. Such policies and procedures should require the firm chief executive officer or equivalent, if he is appropriate, the firm's managing partner or equivalent, to assume the ultimate responsibility for the firm's systems of quality control. So, who is responsible for the firm's quality control is only the firm's managing partner, because there is no CEO, CFO. The company can't be practicing auditor in India. So only the managing partners, that is the major partners, they are ultimately responsible for firm control. If anything goes south, they are responsible. Firm's leadership and the example sets significantly influence the internal culture of the firm. As and the promotion of the quality-oriented internal culture depends on clearly, consistent, and frequently action and messages from all levels of firm's management, emphasizing the firm's quality control policies and procedures that are required to perform the work that complies with professional standard and regulatory and legal requirement. Issue reports that are appropriate documents. Perform the work is if some work is being asked to be done within that time. Example, GST work to be filed before 10 GST or 1 3B within 21 at 10 and 20. At the same time, we need to issue appropriate report. That is, if we're going for a company, we should issue audit report. And if you go for a trust, we should go tax audit report. Um, Appropriate report should be given. You can't give something totally wrong. What should be given to what, that should be understood by the thing that should be there. Such action and messages encourage a culture that recognizing rewards high quality work. They may be communicated by training, seminars, meetings, and formal informal dialogues, mission statements, and newsletters and briefing memorandum. They are incorporated in the firm's internal documentation and trading material. It is a partner or staff appraisal procedure such that they support the reinforce the firm's view of importance of the quality, how practical it's to be achieved. Of particular importance, it is need the firm's leadership to recognize that the firm's business strategy is subject to an override requirement of a firm to achieve a quality of all engagement that the firm performs accordingly. And the firm assigns its management responsibility so that the commercial consideration do not override the quality of work performed. Because all we do is get money and do the work. So even though there is a monetary concern as less, the performance of work and quality of work should not be declined. The firm's policies and procedures addressing performance evaluation, compensation and promotion, including incentive system with regarding to this personnel, are designed to demonstrate the firm's overriding commitment to quality. If you want to do something, performance evaluation, how this personals are working, how compensation, how payment is given, how the promotion is given in the office. These all should be based on their quality rather than the quantity approach. That's what they say. Because the standard of quality approach clearly says you can't promote someone because he brings on business. You can promote someone based upon the policies and procedures that are addressing the performance. How good is performing? The performance should be quality, not performing of monetary things. Firm devotes sufficient resources for the development, documentation, and supports of its quality control policies procedures. What things every day what we work for is quality, not the quantity of a. Even though you do a single audit, do it perfectly. See through that nothing is left behind. BRS is done completely. Vouchers are done perfectly. There is no misstatements left out. All the related by transactions has been accounted, are been fair valued, been measured. Identifying the disallowances, properly accounting it, everything is been properly. We should not giving and time should be given to develop this resources, to develop skills with the people. Like ask them to study, we provide them not only the work but also the time to study them. Second thing, support them with tools like softwares. Example, Tally, Winman, many accounting software based accounting softwares. These kind of things to be supported for them. Any person or person assigned operational responsibility for the firm's quality control system for the firm's chief executive officer or managing board of partners should have sufficient appropriate experience and ability and necessary authority to ensure that responsibility. Sufficient appropriate experience, ability to enable the responsible persons and person to identify, understand the quality control issues, and to develop appropriate policy and procedure. Sufficient because they need to have sufficient experience to do something. To identify who can do and who can't do. Necessary authorities enable the persons and persons to enable the policies and procedures. Ethical requirement. The firm should establish policy and procedure designed to provide that reasonable assurance that firms and its personnel comply with the relevant ethical requirement. Ethical requirement relating to audit and review of historic financial statements. So we'll see historic financial statement previous year and other assurance related services. Other assurance related services and code of conduct. What are these other assurance related services? Example, we going to stock audit report we give. Then after we give this network certificates. Then we give moreover like assurance certificates like if this loan has been contains this money bank records we have audited such kinds of certificates we give. This code establishes a fundamental principle of professional ethics which includes integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and due care, confidentiality, and professional behavior. So integrity should be proper. My objective is to give proper fair and true report. Professional competences. Whatever I'm doing is under the Chartered Accountant Act. Confidentiality. I'm not going to share anything with anyone. Professional behavior. You should treat client as client, not as friend. The code, because we can't cross the line. He's my friend, so I sign something unethical. It's bad. You treat every client equally. One client gives more fees, can't treat him something, and other client is bad or you can't treat as something bad. No, everyone are equal. The code include conceptual approach to independence of assurance and engagement, including aspect of the threats of independence and accepting the safeguard of public interest. The firm's policy and procedure should be emphasizing the fundamental principle, which is reinforcing the particular by leadership of the firm, the leader, education training all everyone, monitoring, finding what are the policy we give, whether it's been followed, processing for the dealing with non-compliance. If something is not been followed, strictly ask them to follow. Independence of assurance engagement is so significant that is addressed separately in the paragraph. Below the paragraph should be read in conjunction with the code. Okay. Independence. The firm should establish policy and procedure designed to provide it reasonable assurance that the firm's personnel and where applicable other subject to independence requirement, including experts contracted by the firms and network firms person maintain independence which are required by the code. Such policy and procedure should enable the firm to communicate the independent requirement to its personnel and where applicable in other subjects to them. What is the independence is? You go to a client place, you should be independent. That is means like if even the client offers you going to a hotel industry for audit, your clients offer you food, it's not required to eat there. If they offer you, pay the bill properly. It's not the responsibility of the client to provide you food and something. You're going to some antique store shops as an audit, and they provide whichever antique you choose. We give you 60% off, 50% off, 90% off. This kind of offers, you don't take it. That should be independence. Okay, I'm not respond. You do your business. I do. I'm here to check. Such kind of can't accept uh, benefits from the clients. What are the benefits we given to other client? If you get that, that's good. Additional benefits not good. Identify the evaluate circumstances of the relationship that create threat to independence and take appropriate action to eliminate these threats and reduce them to an acceptable level of applying safeguards. And if consider appropriate to withdraw from the engagement. Sometimes what the client may give freebies and client may provide some luxury items that may threaten the independence. So if you come to knowledge that your personals are getting such kind of freebies, you should inquire through it and you should not send that personals again to that so the independence won't be. it will be affected. Same time, if your client is giving such kind of freebies or some kind of benefits, and if personals have been affected through it, and he is corrupting them, you rather withdraw from the engagement. Such policies and procedures should be required. Engagement partners to provide the firms with the relevant information about the client's engagement, including the scope of service to enable the firms to evaluate the overall impact, if any, of independence requirement. Personal to promote, notify the firm of circumstances, a relationship that create a threat to independence, so that appropriate action can be taken. If anyone finds something, you should inform them. Given your colleague is doing something, you should inform your superior, managing partner, he got something. That's be careful. The accumulation and communication of relevant information to appropriate personnel that a firm and the personnel can readily determine whether that satisfies independent requirement. A firm can maintain and update the records relating to the independence, and firm can take appropriate action regarding the identifying threat to independence. Yeah, if they find something, what is the firm, who is going to that client, and what are the things that client has given to the personnel, and if it affecting that independence of threat, you should not send them. You take action. A firm should establish policies and procedure designed to provide that reasonable assurance that is notified by the breaches of independent requirement and is enabled to take appropriate action to resolve the situation. The policy and provision should include requirement for who is subject to independent requirement to promptly notify the firm of independent breaches for which they became aware. The firm promptly communicate identified breaches of their policies and procedures to engagement partner who with the firm need to address the breach. Other relevant and relevant personnel in the firms and the subject to the independent requirement who need to take appropriate action and prompt a communication with the firm if necessary by the engagement partner and other individual refer to the subsection of the action taken to resolve the matter so that the firm can determine whether to take further action. Comprehensive guidance on threat of independent and safeguard. They include, yes, they have to take action. That's what you mean. The comprehensive guidance of threat to independent and safeguard, including application to specific situations and contained in the code. The firm receive a notice of a breach of independence policies and procedure, promptly communicate relevant information to the engagement partners. Other than the firms are appropriate and whether applicable export contracted by the firms and network firm personnel for appropriate action. Appropriate action by the firm and the relevant engagement partner includes applying appropriate safeguard to eliminate the threat to independence or to reduce them to acceptable level. Withdraw from the engagement. In addition to the firm provides independent education to personnel who is required to be independent. Because every when and now you have a time, we should correct your personnel and say, this way you should be independent. You should not get bribe even though they offer you something. If you get, please inform to the official partner, official engagement team that they are providing such things. Can I get or not? At least annual firm should obtain return confirmation of the compliance with the policies and procedures on independence from all the firm's personnel required to be independent in terms of requirement of the every year you should write the codes, what to be followed, what not be followed. This is affecting. You should not get bribe, you should not use the money, you should not steal from them. Such a way you should write something, ask them to recite it, write the signature, written confirmation. I'm not doing and I'm good and I'm not affecting the independence of the firm. Such a way you should get a return. That is a good way. The return confirmation may be in a paper or electronic form. By obtaining the information and take appropriate action on an information indicating non-compliance, the firms demonstrate the importance that it is attaches the important independence and make it issue a current for visible to its person. So they can you have signed it. Be careful. If not, legal proceeding will be taken to you. That is in checkpoint. The personals will be responsible. The code discusses the familiarity theme that is being created by using a same senior personnel on the assurance engagement over a long period of time. And the safeguard might be appropriate to address such accordingly should establish a policy and procedure. If one person is doing the audit for the past 5 years, 10 years, he will become more familiar with the client. That may create, okay, sir, I will take care, no problem, I will do it. We should not allow that. Sitting on the criteria of determining the need of safeguard to reduce familiarity threat to acceptable level when using the same senior personnel. and assurance engagement over a long period of time. For all the audit of financial statement of listed entities requiring the rotation of engagement partner after a specific period of compliance with the rules. Yeah, actually, after 5 years, there is a rotation, and 5 years of cooling period is there. So that is right. For in the terms of partnership forms, 5 years one partner, another 5 years another partner. Then we have a 5 years of cooling period. Such a way, the cooling period also be should be for listed entities or the same way. But we can do that for a private company. But a personal school code can be changed, so we can have an independent mind. Using the same senior personal assurance engagement over a prolonged period for may create a familiarity threat, otherwise impair the quality of performance of engagement. Thereby, the firm should establish a criteria of determining need of safeguard to address a threat. Determining the appropriate criteria, the firm consider the matter and nature of engagement, including extend it with involves a matter of public threat. A length of service of senior personnel on the engagement, length of service of senior personnel on engagement. An example safeguard include rotation of senior personnel or acquiring engagement quality control. Familiarity threat is a particular relevant to a context of financial statement audits of listed entities. For this audit, the engagement partner should be rotated after a predefined period, normally not more than 7 years. So, as per the rules, 7 years one can be there because he will become more similar. But the company is 5 years. Okay. Acceptance and continuance of client relationship and engagement, specific engagement. A firm should establish policies and procedure for accepting and continuing a client relationship and specific engagement designed to provide it with a reasonable assurance that it will undertake or continue relationship and engagements only where it is as consider the integrity of the client does not have information that would lead to conclude that the client lacks integrity. If the client is not integrate, don't do audit for them. Let's move on. Ask them to go. The provision of rotation of partners will shall not be applicable in the case of audit of a listed company seen as being done by a sole practitioner or proprietor. However, in order to ensure the appropriate system of quality control exists in the firm and appropriate reports are issued in the circumstances by the sole practitioner or proprietor, such practice unit shall be compulsorily reviewed under the peer review. So the peer review board will make sure they have integrity and competent to perform the engagement, has the capabilities and time frames. Every time we take a new audit, we should see whether we have a time and enough resources to do it. Don't take the clients like, come on, come on, come on. No, enough is enough. So comply with the ethical requirement. If you're taking this audit, if we complying with ethical requirement, why? Because you have a new partner. That partner is being the previous auditor of that company, and that company he is a cooling period. Now you can't take an audit of that company because partner who you have is done the audit there. So now you are you are not you can't be a director. You'll be disqualified. So you should see the legal requirement. What can we take? What can't we take? A firm should obtain some information consider necessary in circumstances before accepting engagement with the new clients when deciding whether to continue existing engagement and when considering accepting a new engagement with the existing client. Whether issues have been identified and the firm decided to accept or continue the client relationship or specific engagement, it should document how the issues have resolved. With regard to the integrity of the client matter that the firms consider includes, for example, identify the business reputation of the client's personal owner, principal owner, key management, related parties, and uh, other charging accounts. Their reputation. Some company, example, Satyam Computers, auditors made didn't find something. Satyam Computer even did that fault. That's it. Okay, yeah. Same thing you think of any new company. For example, you are called for to do audit for Kingfisher's owner, previous CEO. Will you go and do it? No, it's a reputation problem. You came across a new client who is a regular offender of law and had some crimes. Will you do it? No. They has a not good reputation. He won't be ethical. You don't need to take the clients. Nature of client's operation, including business practice. You can have the client's operation is shady, don't do it. Information concern of attitude of the client's principal owner, key management, and their charge with governance towards such matters as aggressive interruption of accounting standards and internal control environment. So you should see that whether even the client is good, everything is they don't have a proper internal control. They don't account properly. The accounting is shabby, and they don't have a bookkeeping. And if that's circumstances, you are going to do a stat audit. Be careful because the fees what you get, you are not responsible for accounting. They are responsible. So whether the client is aggressively concerned with the maintaining the firm fees as low as possible. Some clients always say, "What is the fees you offer to do the service?" If they are in the service, might never take it, indicating the inappropriate limitation on scope of work. If they restrict your work, you don't need to do the sir. You see this only, sir. No, I want to do completely, indicating the client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activities. Once you see though they are doing money laundering, get off. Even the money laundering money, you get a audit fees, your account will be frozen. So never take any money from a person who is doing money laundering. And other criminal activities, any criminal activities, any code under Bharat Nyaya Shankita, is violating, don't take a claim. Reason for the proposed appointment of the firms and reappointment of this previous. If someone is coming from the firm, as I've already done it, no, I don't want that auditor, I want you, na? Just ask the reason, fair reason why you are coming. And same time, as per the chartered accountant code, any stamp audit you are getting, you should report to the previous auditor and get a NOC that no objection. Then after you can take it, if you won't take it. The extent of knowledge of the firm will have regarding the integrity of the client will generally grow within the context of ongoing relationship with the client. Information on such matter that the firms obtains may come from, for example, communicating with existing and previous professional accounting services to the client in accordance with the code and discuss with the other third party. You can inquire over them. Inquire with other firms, personal and third party such as bankers, legal counsels, and industry peers. Background searches for relevant database. In considering whether the firm has an capability and competency and times and resources to undertake a new engagement from a new and existing client, the firm review the specific requirement of engagement and existing partners and staff profile all the relevant levels. Matter of the firm considering including whether the firm person has a knowledge of relevant industry or subject matter. We should have the proper knowledge. We can take a client and say, I don't know the knowledge. Yeah. The firm person has experience in relevant regulatory and reporting procedure requirement, and ability to gain necessary skill and knowledge effectively. Firm has a sufficient personnel with the necessary capabilities and competence. Experts are available if needed. Individual meet the criteria and eligibility requirement to perform the individual engagement. Quality control review are available and where applicable. Firm should also be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. Main thing is they need to report it independently. Firm also consider whether the accepting an engagement from a new or existing client may give a rise to actual or perceived conflict of interest. Where potential conflict is identified, the firm consider whether it is appropriate to accept the engagement. There are conflict of interest between the clients and whether we should resolve it or we should remove disengage from the client. Deciding whether the continued client relationship includes consideration of significant matters that have arisen during the current and previous engagement and its implications or content in the relationship. For example, a client may have started to expand his business operation in an area where the firm does not possess the necessary knowledge and expertise. In that way, they definitely get a new area. If we not export, we should discontinue. At the same time, if the client has not paid the fees properly, we give a proper notice to them. Whether the firm obtains information that would have caused it to decline the engagement if the information had been available earlier. Policies and procedures on the continuance of the engagement and the client relationship should have considered. I have seen this case. A client came as a legitimate client when he comes as business, he said. Then after 1 year later, he said, Sir, I had a new business started. So please do that audit. Then he said, Sir, my wife is doing some business. who take the audit. Then my father-in-law, my son-in-law, everyone's business he start bringing it in. First, we thought that okay, he's a good. After seeing our work, he's bringing such a good clients. But when we go deep into the books of account, we able to find that some inconsistency and bills are not available and are not payments which made is not have proper audit evidences are not there. Bills are not proper. We cleared suspicions over his transactions, and then we politely said, sir, we don't have the sufficient time to complete this, so please give to that we are able to. And he said, so how you have accepted my client, you should accept everything. He shouted like something. We said, sir, politely said we can't do it. We just said please go. That's a way. Nobody will come and cut your head and all. If you can't do it, just in when you're doing the audit, if they don't provide any information, just simply say if you don't say the information, I don't do the audit. If you bribe them, say I get them good fees, sir. I will do this. No. Please get out. Be clear. Professional legal responsibility that applies to the circumstances, including whether there is a requirement of the firms to report to the person or persons who make appointment, or in other cases to regulatory authorities. Possibilities, if you find something like they are doing some illegal activities, you should report to the authorities with the audit evidence. That's your responsibility. The possibility of withdraw from the engagement or for both the engagement and the client relationship. Attention of all members to invite a code of ethics and a guidance note on the independence of the auditors issued by the ICA. There may be a code with the lawyers that once anything said to the lawyer will stay with the lawyer. It will not, the professional code will not be promoted. That is a lawyer's code. There's nothing in the CE. Only thing is we should not leak any document, audit documents to others. But if you find something, you should report it. While doing the tax audit, you find your client is doing illegal business. It's your report. They are not going to watch your report and all. So in tax audit report, you file in you and they're going to approve it. So when you file that this client is doing this thing. So you should approve. Government will take action. No need to worry. Client will not remove it. And don't worry. Policies and procedures on withdrawal from an engagement or for both the engagement and the client relationship address the issue that includes following discussion with the appropriate level of clients management and those charged with governance regarding the appropriate action that the firm might take based on the relevant factors and circumstances. Okay. So you have to find something here. We should report to those charged with governance. Say 260. Appropriate manager so they can resolve that. If a firm determines that it is appropriate to withdraw, discuss with the appropriate level of client management and those charged with governance withdrawal from the engagement from both the engagement and the client relationship and the reason for the withdrawal. Sometimes your client may provide restriction or you may feel that your independence is being violated. You clearly go to the appropriate management with the appropriate engaging partner. You don't go ask them, ask your engaging partner to, and our engagement partner will go to the appropriate management or those charged with governance and say, sir, we can't do your audit no more because of this kind of things happening. Sorry, sir. Rather, you resolve the issues to continue the engagement and a client relationship. We will withdraw from the engagement. That's the way you can say. The consideration whether there is a professional, regulatory, legal requirement from the firms to remain the place, or the firm to report the withdrawal from the engagement, or both the engagement and the client relationship, together with the reason of withdrawal, regulatory requirement, documenting significant issues and documenting consultation and conclusion and the basis of this conclusion. Human resources. The firm should establish policy and procedure designed to provide it reasonable assurance that there are sufficient personnel with the capabilities, competence, and commitment to ethical principle necessary to perform the engagement in accordance with the professional standards and regulatory and legal requirement, and to enable the firm to engagement partners to issue reports that is appropriate to the circumstances. Such policies and procedures address the following personal issues: recruitment, performance evaluation, capabilities, competence, career development, promotion, compensation, estimation of personal needs. Addressing the issues enables the firms to decide, ascertain the number and the characteristics of individual required of the firm's engagement. The firm's recruitment process, including procedure that helps the firm select individual of integrity as well as capability to developing capabilities and competency necessary to perform the firm's work. Capabilities and competence developed through the varieties of method include professional education, private education. Continuous professional development include training, the proper training, work experience, yeah, experience. Coaching for more experienced, for example, other members of the engagement team. One person can train other. The continuous competence of person forms personal dependent to a significant extent, an appropriate level of continuing professional development so that the person maintains also engages knowledge and capabilities. The firm therefore emphasizes its policies and procedures and need of continuing training for all the level of firm's personnel and provides necessary training resources and assistance to enable personnel to develop and maintain the required capabilities and competence. Whether internal technician and training require resources are unavailable, training are available there for any other reason, the firm may use suitable qualified external person for purpose. If some knowledge to be given to a person and they don't have a proper person to teach them, they can bring someone from outside to teach them.